Here with Concordia head men's basketball coach Ben Limback to preview the 2022-23 season. As we record this, about a couple weeks or so into practices and only a few weeks away from first official games of the season. But wanted to quickly look back at last year. I know we talked a lot about what an incredible year that was, but what if you told your team in terms of building on that and now turning the page and trying to kind of back up that kind of season?
Yeah, no, it was a special year. I think a lot of the guys were a part of last year, and I think it's okay to remember that and reflect on it. I think that builds confidence, and it kind of gives you a taste of what to expect. And I know just getting to Kansas City with the group we have back this year, I think it's really important. They get just to see it and feel it. So certainly there's a lot of excitement and a lot of hunger and confidence to get back to that point. But it's also noted that there's a lot of work that went into last year, and it's a new season and new challenges ahead, new group of guys and some newcomers. And so certainly we lost a lot of senior leadership and a lot of great, not only players, but great character guys. And so that's a challenge too. But yeah, certainly the excitement of last year is something that I feel like has kind of inspired just the extra motivation this year.
And I don't know, maybe that team last year played with an edge. You weren't necessarily on the national radar when the season began, and now maybe you are a little bit more, but also do you try to get that edge back by maybe people think that it'll be hard for Concordia to do that again? I mean, what's that mindset of trying to prove you're going to be a program that has staying power?
Yeah, no, that's kind of been our message so far. Is we want to be a team that not lives on the past, but makes new memories. I mean, this is the 99th team in the history of Concordia men's basketball, and so that's kind of what we've been hitting on. Is what do we want to accomplish this year as this group? And I think there's just a desire. Some of the guys that weren't in a major role last year in terms of maybe on-court minutes and where their roles were, you could just see it building this summer, right? This is my chance, this is my opportunity to now take it to a new level, and certainly we want to carry on the tradition of success from the previous years and a lot of things that have been built to this point. Our league's going to be a bear. There's a lot of teams that return pretty much everybody, and so I don't think we're going to be one of the favorites this year. That edge needs to be there, and certainly we have a lot to prove this year.
Well, you mentioned losing some senior leadership. Right off the bat, you think about Carter Kent and Justin Wiersma. You also had some fifth-year guys last year too. How does that kind of change leadership roles for this team?
Yeah, that was my biggest concern coming into this season, and even still, I feel like that's something that's underrated and underestimated with the group from last year. Certainly, we had guys, Carter Kent, All-American, Justin Wiersma, All-Conference guy, and all the seniors. On-court performance is one thing, but just that consistency of what to expect and just the camaraderie and the trust that had been built for 4 years and with the team even last year is something that's hard to replace. But there's very capable guys on this team to lead. I feel like A.J. Watson's really stepped up in a lot of areas in that category. He's a very vocal, emotional leader. We have a lot of guys that are lead by example guys, which is great. It's just a vocal piece that we're trying to continue to get out of them. But I think that's where that senior group last year is really tough to replace. Is that leadership, vocal leadership, and kind of expecting that daily what they're bringing every day type thing.
I I'm sure a lot will be expected of someone like Noah Shutt. He made some waves nationally with how he played at the national tournament, and now he might be more of a marked man on the scouting report from opponents going into this year. What do you see about him that makes him kind of ready to take on that challenge?
Yeah, Noah's kind of kept building and building. He's always been a very talented player. Just a lot of things he can do. This year the challenge is, like you said, last year he didn't start early on. He didn't have as big of a role, and then at the end of the year, he was one of our best players, and I think that is carried over, I feel like, into this season. I think he is battle tested. He knows he's going to be more of a marked man. Last year he might have drawn the fourth or fifth best defender. This year I think he might get different in terms of defensive scouting on him, and we'll see. I think he still he has a lot of room to grow. If you can imagine that, he is just that talented. He's a great teammate, and I think as he continues to build on the intensity that he started to pick up from last year, and we're really challenging him defensively this year too. But he's been doing great, and excited for his junior season this year.
Yeah, this is year 4 in the program for A.J. Watson, who kind of emerged as the point guard last year. What are you kind of challenging him with and tasking him with in the context of team success this year? Yeah,
no, AJ made a huge leap last year. Again, he's been a guy in the program now for 4 years. Last year he had a great summer and kind of took that on and ended up starting a majority of the games for us last year as a point guard. And so that was a big challenge this summer to him as well. Have another great summer, build on it, but also take the reins a lot more with leadership stuff. And he's done that. I've been really proud of him in terms of he's emotional, right? Every day we can see how AJ's feeling, what he's ready to do, he's carried that out for the most part on a daily basis, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in meetings, whether it's on the court now in practice. Been really pleased overall with what he's been doing in terms of that leadership growth. Certainly we got a lot of room still, but I think even the on-court performance, he's added some consistency to a lot of things as well, and I'm really excited for him his 4th year.
It was, I think, great news to when Gage Smith made his decision to come back for a 5th year and gets to play with his brother Tristan for another season. I know they're not the exact same players, but it has to be fun to think about how they can work in tandem too and be a real problem for other teams.
Yeah, the Smith brothers, it's fun to see them interact in not only a teammate way, but also a brotherly way. Gage Smith, I talked to a number of coaches last year, with this COVID year, this extra year that guys are allowed to play, all athletes. A lot of times they haven't been coming in as motivated early, but they want to just fast forward to the end. Some of these 5th year seniors, and Gage has been quite the opposite. I've been so impressed with him. He's really come in phenomenal shape. He's incredible work ethic so far. I mean, there is nobody in the gym more than Gage Smith right now. He works out 2-3 times a day sometimes, and I'm really excited for what he's put into the summertime and preseason so far, because he's just a 5th year guy that I think we count on for that leadership, the maturity, and he has been the opposite of settling in, and he's playing at a high level, and really excited for what will be his 5th year.
Well, I wanted to mention some other guys returning. Some of them maybe have a chance to step into bigger roles. Brad Bennett, Garrett Seagren played quite a few minutes last year, but also Joel Baker, Kelly Vanalik, some of those guys maybe stepping in. How have you kind of seen them respond in practice now to to having larger roles?
Yeah, absolutely. No, these are the guys that I feel like every year. So at the end of the national tournament, we lost our final game to Talladega. Already, right, as a coach, you start to get joy and excitement for the next year, right? And those are the guys that you mentioned, and there's more than that excite you as a coach, I feel like, where now it's their opportunity, right? Let's see how much they've developed. Let's see where they can now take this team. And just so pleased, a lot of those guys, I mean, Joel Baker stuck around here this summer, all those guys you mentioned, I mean, they put a lot of time, and, Brad's coming off a knee injury. Kelly Vanalik, I mean, he's a Seward guy, but I don't know if I've ever had a guy put as much time in the summer on a daily basis, and he's looking really good, and hopefully has an opportunity to step into a new role too. There's all sorts of guys. You mentioned Tristan Smith, and him alone, like last year, he was a big reason we started to come on towards the end of the season. I think Garrett Seagren, he came in some critical moments defensively for us, and we're excited for his new role offensively. And so there's a lot of guys that maybe didn't even get mentioned, from Skylar Woida to Brayson Mueller to a lot of guys that are waiting their turn. And we talk about pushing the level of the team up, and certainly a lot of these guys are well into that way and have a great hunger. That's really been fun to coach so far.
How about the freshman class too? What can we expect to see there? Do you feel like there's some guys that are emerging that are going to get some playing time, and what does that look like? Yeah, no, I think I told we had a freshman meeting the first week of school, and I just pulled them aside, and I talked to them about how we have a very veteran team. Even though we graduate a lot of seniors, we have a lot of veterans this year, and I feel like a good core group. And sometimes you come in as a freshman, and if you're starting or playing a lot right away, the team might not have as much success if you're counting on a lot of freshmen to play a ton of minutes. And so that's kind of what I try to explain to these freshmen is you might not get a lot of time this year, but if you're not, you're probably a part of a winning team, and building something even bigger and better for when you step into that role. So we have a number of freshmen. I told them this is probably the most deepest, most talented class that I've ever had coming in, just from top to bottom. And there's so many guys that I feel like are developing already at a high level, doing great things in practice. It's just not consistent enough yet. We have two guys from Omaha West Side. Logan Wilson's been very impressive so far at both ends of the floor. He's a 6'7" guy that can shoot it, and defensively I've been very impressed with him. Payson Gillespie too, he can really score it, has good length to him from the guard position. I expect him to continue to grow and possibly contribute too. Zach Koulis been a very impressive so far from Concordia, Omaha, freshman that he can really shoot the ball, and as he adds strength, there's some stuff there too. And Jackson Wyan, a local guy, is coming off a knee injury, but he's starting to come back and look good. So there's a number of guys in that freshman class. Again, I could name a ton of guys, but it's one of those things where every day we're just trying to get better and see where some of these young guys can become more consistent. Wanted to talk a little bit too about how maybe last year raised the profile of the program a little bit. I mean, what has the response been like, just being out and about? I'm sure a lot of people saw the alley-oop pass to win and heard about the run at the national tournament. What's the response been like?
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I feel like a lot of us are ready for basketball season and anticipating the start to the year, and that's a large part because of the excitement of the end and who's returning and some of the excitement there. And so it's been fun to see and to talk basketball in the off season with some of the local community people, and we run camps and things, and some of those people have been a part of those games, and alums that were, oh, I saw you in Kansas City, or I saw you at Omaha, and just a special run, right? And that's kind of what makes that winning fun is everybody that gets to join in the fun and see that, and so we just want to continue to work hard and to have that daily process, but certainly the community involvement, it's wonderful support from this town, and we're just as excited as some of these fans, and want to certainly continue this momentum that maybe we came off last year, but start a new year and see what we can do.
Wanted to touch on the non-conference schedule. Of course, a lot of people are familiar with the teams you play in the GPAC, but what do you look forward to with this? I know the game at Pinnacle Bank Arena will be a cool experience, and then you also have a trip over Christmas break, so it should be some fun and CIT, some fun opportunities there.
Yeah, no, our schedule is both challenging, and there's some cool games in there. You mentioned the GPAC, that'll be another challenge this year, but we opened the Cattle Classic with some good teams out of Kansas, but the Battle of the Vault, or Battle in the Vault game at Pinnacle Bank Arena, that'd be a special moment for our guys, just to play in that environment, kind of a national tournament stage against a very good team out of Oklahoma, who should be ranked coming into the year. Then we got a good group of teams down in Dallas, Texas, and Oklahoma. A fun trip with the women too, where some perennial really good teams, Texas Wesleyan and science, or arts and sciences. And then CIT, we've unfortunately with COVID haven't been able to host the last few years, and it's just this big bubble. We're just waiting for that thing to pop, and the energy here on campus again. And AJ Watson and Gage Smith are really the only ones that have played in a CIT from our team. So even though they've kind of the only ones that really know what it's about, so I'm excited for our players. I mean, we've been talking about it now for a few years, these upperclassmen and even the students here, and for them to get to host that and experience it, I think will be a fun time. So yeah, a lot of cool games and neat trips that I think we'll be a part of, and certainly we want to defend the home court again and do our best here in front of our fans, but certainly some great road games too.
Last thing, the bar was raised last season, but programs had a lot of good seasons historically. But how does that kind of formulate into what you believe the expectations are right now within the program for this year?
Yeah, I think this group is motivated to not just try to repeat last year, to necessarily try to do the same things, but even take it to another level. They know the challenge ahead. We've talked about what that means and the consistency that goes into that. But certainly the goal to win championships and to be a part of that national contention again is something that I think this team is hungry for. And so I think anytime you get a taste of it, right, you want to eat more and be a part of more of whatever you experienced, and I think that's no different with this team. And so I'm excited for that. Certainly you'd rather have that than the rebuilds or whatever, but certainly we have a lot of work to do, especially at the defensive end, and especially with the consistency and the leadership, but no doubt the guys in the locker room, we have a group of guys that certainly should be expecting something of that nature.